On night one of the 2023 NFL Draft, the Chiefs have selected Felix Anudike-Uzomah in the first round. Now, Felix is a defensive end and a local product. Get this, he played his college ball at K-State and his high school ball in Lee Summit. He's been a huge Chiefs fan his entire life. It's like a dream coming true.
Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, thank you so much for, listen, whatever. I'm the biggest Chiefs fan, you don't even know.
But was it a great pick for the Chiefs? Was it a bad pick? Was it something kind of in between? Well, before we answer that, let's talk about Felix as a player. There are some things that really excite me. There's one thing that really scares me, and there's a few reasons why Felix might be the second coming of Tom Mahali. Actually, if you wait around to hear him, there are some scary similarities between the two. So let's get into this. What am I excited about when I turn on the tape of Felix? Well, it's simple. His pass rushing skills. And there's three things to know here. First, Felix has an array of pass rushing moves. Almost always, when you watch even the high-end edge rushers that are coming out of college, they're one-trick ponies, meaning it might be a speed rush or a bull rush or a certain technique like a swim or a rip, but they've only got really one sure way to get to the quarterback. However, what I love about Uzomah is that there's this more refined technique than you typically find in an edge rusher coming out of college. He can win with power, speed, or a number of techniques, a whole host of avenues to get to the quarterback. This second thing that I get excited about as a pass rusher is Felix's effort. He's a high intensity, high motor player. And it's this effort that to me is absolutely key in taking a defensive line and making it great. That was, of course, the great strength of George Karlaftis, who the Chiefs drafted in last year's first round, another defensive end. And if you keep collecting these high intensity defensive linemen one after another, believe me, the collective play over time is going to be greater than the individual play. And third, the third thing I get excited about is his production. I mean, Felix had a pass rush win rate of 15.9% in college. He had 21 sacks over the last 2 years. The best indicator of if a pass rusher is going to get to the quarterback in the pros is, well, if they got to the quarterback in college. I know that doesn't sound shocking, but scouts they tend to forget that. So this is what I love about Felix, getting to the quarterback. He's an edge rusher. He's a guy who's going to get to the QB. And that's what we need on this team right now. To me, I believe he should be an instant upgrade over the recently departed Frank Clark. So that's what I'm excited about. Now, what are his weaknesses? What are Uzomah's weaknesses? Well, I got to be honest, there's one thing that really scares me, and it's his limited athleticism. When I started watching him on film a few months ago before the combine, I loved his technique, loved his effort, loved his production, but I sat there thinking, I don't see an elite burst. I don't see elite speed that I want to see, particularly from an undersized edge rusher. And since he was a two-star recruit, coming out of high school, according to rivals, I figured maybe there's some concern about the athleticism here. So I knew his workout performance at the combine would tell me a lot about where I'd put him on my draft board, but then he didn't work out at the combine. It was due to a foot injury. So then I was, really waiting on his pro day, but then he chose not to run the 40 at his pro day either, even though he participated in some of the other activities, which I got to be honest, that really scares me. Because you only decline to run the 40 if you know the outcome is not going to look good. And if he would have gone out and ran a 4.8 at the size he is, this is a third or fourth round player. Now, we don't have a video of his pro day, but scouts did state that he did not look like he had the explosiveness, quickness, athleticism of a first rounder. However, what does give me hope is that is being reported that he did run the 3-cone drill at his pro day and turned in a time just under 7 seconds, which is actually a pretty good time. So while I'm super excited, I'm really excited about his pass rushing skills, I am scared about his limited athleticism and whether he is going to be limited in his potential as a pro. So now, when you consider all of that, was this a good pick, a bad pick, something in between? Well, I think it's a solid pick for our Chiefs. I really do. look, it addresses a need, doesn't it? Edge rusher. We had to get one. And he should be an improvement over the player he's replacing. Great. He was graded as a late first round or high second round player. So we're getting solid value here at an area of need. What more can you ask? And look, I get it. I get it. Nobody gets excited about like a solid pick. Nobody gets excited about, just going out there and getting a guy who's good at a position. I know that everybody wants to like trade up, trade down, and have this big crazy thing in the draft. So tons of fans are mad thinking, hey, Miles Murphy from Clemson, Nolan Smith from Georgia were edge rushers available at picks 28 and 30 right before us. Why didn't we trade up and get, one of those guys that's an elite athlete? And plenty of fans wish we would have traded up. I've heard this one all over the internet, into the 20 to 23 range where 4 receivers were taken back to back to back to back. Look, the real life draft, this isn't Madden. Trades don't just happen pushing a button on a controller. There are 31 other teams in the league, and with the exception of a few like the Raiders, the rest do know what they're doing. They know the talent in this particular draft steeply drops off after about the first 30 players. So they didn't want to get in that situation, and they knew they didn't want to help the Chiefs trade up and grab Mahomes another weapon. They're not stupid. And other fans were mad because we didn't trade down since we, ended up drafting a guy who maybe should have had a second round grade. Well, to that I'd say this. Look, this draft was in Kansas City. It was on our home turf months after we won a Super Bowl. From day one, you knew that this draft was going to end with owner Clark Hunt parading out the Lombardi trophies, making the final pick in the first round, and everybody going crazy. That is always how the first night of this draft was going to end. So do not put it on the front office for not trading back on this one. They were likely stuck at exactly the 31st pick, and they made a solid pick on the board. The board didn't quite fall how maybe they would have wished. Some players that I was hoping for got taken right before we picked, but I think we were probably stuck at 31 unless we wanted to be completely unreasonable in what we gave up for a trade. So I think this is a solid pick for the Chiefs front office. So the last thing I want to discuss is a comparison. Who does Felix remind me of? Well, it's crazy how similar he is to former Chiefs 2006 first-round draft pick Tamba Hali. I was in the Chiefs personnel department in 2006, and I remember Tamba's card like high up on the whiteboard and thinking, really? Really, that guy? And I remember him getting picked, and I remember going to camp with the team up in Wisconsin and seeing him stand next to Jared Allen and thinking like, okay, this dude was our first rounder. And Tamba really struggled his rookie year at camp. Like, it wasn't good. I remember Gunther Cunningham relentlessly screaming at him. I thought, wow, what is going to happen here? But somehow, through just sheer effort, sheer character, sheer technique, Tamba Hali turned into a really good player for the Chiefs, didn't he? We all know it. He's a Chiefs legend now. I mean, Tamba Hali ended his career with 89.5 sacks. That's still the second most sacks ever for a Chiefs player. So, Felix reminds me so much of Tamba, and I hope that's the kind of career he has. Get how crazy similar they are. Both Tamba and Felix are 6 feet 3 inches, but both were listed by their colleges at 6 foot 4 inches. So both are a bit undersized. So both also had exactly 11 sacks during their best college season. Both, get this, wore number 91 in college. Both were drafted in the second half of the first round. Both played defensive end. Both had limited athleticism, but both had good technique and effort. The similarities are crazy. So my hope here is that, like Tamba Hali, Felix uses all of that motor, all of that technique, all of that drive, all of those, smarts that he brings into the game to overcome his athletic limitations and turn in a really solid career, just like Tamba Hali did. So that does it for me. Thanks for watching the Red and Gold Report, and go Chiefs!